Lil David, The Restless Chapter 1. The beginning born in November in West Palm Beach in St. Mary Hospital on Thursday after 5:35 p.m. My mama said I was so small that my cousin B.I. wanted to hold me as a Barbie doll. I was a light-skinned baby. At the age of 1 year old, I was laying on the bed and my mama put her hand down my throat to take the penny out so I can breathe. My mama always loved me and she brought me everywhere she went, and I was a true mama's boy. My mama was a nice, hardworking lady. She was very sweet. Everyone loved her. She also was a giver. And she also loved the Lord a lot. She named me David after the Bible. And I promise God made me to be as the next King David from the time I was named. By the age of 3 years old, my mama and my dad took a trip to Haiti, and my dad told everyone to come around me. I had a pack of cookies in my hand, and I opened it and gave everyone a cookie, and I didn't have any left for myself. My dad was in shock. Most kids wouldn't do that. Then I had enjoyed the trip. I spent 2 months in Haiti with my mom and dad. After my mama came back to Florida, she started to get sick, and every hospital she had went to, the doctors said she didn't have anything wrong with her. My mama told her sister about it, and her sister, which is my auntie, already knew what the deal was. My auntie told my mama to go back to church. That's the only way she would be saved, and to also leave my dad alone because he is trouble. My auntie told my mama to stay with my real dad, and my mom refused to listen to my auntie, and her condition got worse to the point where her skin started to rot away. Now she knew she was going to die, so she took me and my auntie to court and signed me over to my auntie to take care of me, and she took on the responsibility to take care of me. So for the last time, my mama took me and my auntie to Haiti to be with her, because she didn't want to die here in Florida. We made it to Haiti, then a few days passed by, and one day my mama went to sleep. I was laying down next to her, under her stomach, and she was already dead. A big white light came into the room while I got up, started crying and shaking my mama. The white light was my mama telling me she loved me and letting me go for the last time. Then my auntie walked in the room while that was happening, and my mama told my auntie to take me and leave Haiti because they were going to try and kill me too. So my auntie took me back to Boynton Beach, Florida, then went back to Haiti to bury my mama. My auntie did the funeral and recorded it to show me later on in life. Then I lived and stayed with my auntie and her kids, my brother and sister. Everyone was kind of broken because of my mom's age, to the point my older sister and brother left. 1 year later, my other sister named Patricia ran away from home because she wanted love and she was still broken, so it was only me and my auntie's kids, Jay and Bia, who I call my brother and sister. In the year of 1996, I was 8 years old. In that year, a lot of weird things began happening to me. Every time I would lay my head on my pillow, and I would hear thousands of people at the same time, and I never knew what it meant. Some days I used to walk outside and play. I could hear people from miles away talking. I used to wonder about the things that were happening to me. My auntie would always tell me that I had an imaginary friend that I would play with. Sometimes I would be smiling. Other times I would be scared, running to my auntie. When my auntie told me this, I didn't believe her, because I couldn't remember it. One day my auntie called me and showed me a video of my mama in her casket. She was looking so old, but she was only 34 years old when she died. This shocked me, because I always thought my auntie was my mama, and her husband was my dad. Since then, I began to realize that I had no mom, and I began wondering who my dad was. So one day I asked my auntie about my dad, and she told me that my dad is a murderer, and that he killed my mom. From the time she told me that, I started to have anger in my heart and hated for my father. By the age of 10, I started to write music, and I used to go outside every day to sing and rap to the people, and they would clap for me. However, my family would be watching me, and they would be laughing at me, and took everything I did as a joke. One day I was walking and I found a boom box in someone's trash can on the street, and I took it home to play music. I used to play my music loud, trying to rap, and my sister Tally came to visit one day. She took my boom box and broke it in the middle of the street, and every day I used to cry. My brother Jay and my sister Bia would mess with me, and my brother would lock me in the dark, knowing I was scared of the dark. My sister Beatrice would play with me and make me do work around the house, and lie that she would give me chips, and I'd go into the corner and cry. Chapter 2: Teen Life at School. I was getting beat up every day by other kids. They took my money and my things, and they would punch me in the face. I would cry and cry wishing my mom was here. It made me have a lot of hate for people, and I even thought of killing. Then one day, my brother Jay and I was in the backyard of the house playing, and I told him what was happening to me at school, and he said, "Don't worry about it." He started to show me how to fight. He would punch me and tell me to punch him back. After that, I thought I was the man in school, walking like I was big and bad. Later that afternoon, the boys came again to beat me up. I punched the boy Peter in his face, and they all ran away. Then one of my teachers saw what had happened and gave me the color red. When I came home, my auntie tried to beat me with the belt. So I ran down the street, trying to get away, but she came after me. When I got back home through the window, she acted as if everything was good. I thought I was okay. So I walked into my room, laid down, and fell asleep. After that, when I woke up, I was tied up, and she beat me like there was no tomorrow. So for the rest of the year, I stopped fighting. One day, out of the blue, I had met this girl named Amanda. She was very beautiful and brown-skinned. I was only 10 years old, and she was 9 years old. We used to talk to each other every day and joke around. She told me when she grew up that she wanted to be a doctor, and I told her I wanted to be a cop or a rapper. She said if I became a cop, that she would beat me up. I laughed. Then my Haitian auntie came and told me to get off the phone. I told Amanda I would see her tomorrow. One day after school, I was walking Amanda home. She said I could stay and talk with her, and I said, "Okay." She then asked me if I wanted to play mom and dad with her, and I said yes. First we played the mad black parent, and we pretended that we had kids. Then we ran around and played hide-go-seek. Then we played the mom and dad part and kissed. She bit my face, and I bit her lip, and we both started laughing even though it hurt. Day after day of being with each other, we began to get really close with each other to the point that at a young age, we were talking about our future. We talked about having kids, getting married, and just living our lives together. We started to plan. Everything I came around her, my stomach would start to hurt, and I would always wonder how and why. So I told my brother Jay about her, and about what happened to me every time I came around her, and laughed at me, and told me what I was feeling was love. He told me a little bit about love and how to love a woman. So one day, my girlfriend Amanda and I was together, and we were alone again. She began kissing me, and I kissed her. Then she began touching me, and I asked, "What are you doing?" She then told me that her mom and dad did this. So we took off our clothes and laid in bed, and we had sex at a young age. We both lost our virginity together. After that, everything was great from that time on. I was a man. I changed the way I dressed and tried to look real good for her. But one afternoon, this man showed up at my auntie house saying that he was my dad, and I laughed and said, "You a lie, my dad is inside the house." And my sister Tally was outside at the time, and she told me, "That's your daddy." I asked my auntie, and she said, "Yes, that's your daddy." And I was like, "What?" And she came outside with my suitcase telling me that I'm going to live with my daddy, and I started to cry because I was thinking about Amanda, and I didn't want to move, and I also had to change schools. So the year of 1998, I was staying with my dad, and I met my brothers and sisters for the first time. Some was around my age, some was grown up, and some was younger than me. I talked to them, and I got to know them day by day. But I would be thinking about Amanda at night when I went asleep. Her mother had given her a new phone, and she went to my Annie's house and asked for me. And my Annie gave her my dad's number, and she called me. When she called, a bright smile came on my face, and she told me she had missed me. She told me she wished I was here. She said that she is lonely without me, and we both started crying over the phone. I told her, "Don't worry, I will be back, and our plans we had made will happen one day." And she told me that she loves me and that I would always be in her heart. I told her, "You are my soul, my bones, my shadow, and you will always be in my heart also." One day after I came out of school, I was waiting for her call, and she never called me. I called her, and her mom told me that she wasn't here. She told me that she left to go to Atlanta, Georgia to stay with her father, and I hung up the phone after that and cried. I cried and cried like a baby. And at that moment in time, I didn't know who God was, but the name God came out of my mouth, and I asked him why was this happening to me. I asked him why the love of my life got taken away from me. For the rest of the school year, I was mad. I cursed at everyone, began to fight my classmates, and began getting into trouble. My dad began getting mad at me from time to time. In the year 2000, I had gotten into middle school, and I was a new fresh 6th grader. The whole entire year of 6th grade, I stay myself and did my work. I had begun writing music at home. Chapter 3 music times in the afternoon when I would have nothing to do. I would put a speaker in front of the tape recorder and record myself rapping on those same tapes. From the time I heard myself on tape, I fell in love with music. About a month later, my school, called Boca Middle School in Boca Raton, Florida, was having this talent show, and my friend told me that I should try out, and I told him that I would think about it. Later that afternoon, I got home from school, and I sat down in my room thinking what would people think and what would people say. As I was listening to music, this singer I listened to by the name of Cisco had made a song called My Angel. I figured I'd do that song for the talent show. So I practiced and practiced for the whole week, and I signed up, tried out, and made the tryouts. The day of the talent show, I was so nervous. By the time I got on stage, all the nervousness went away. I sung, and I did what I had to do. At the end, everyone had liked it, and they were screaming. The girls went crazy, and about a week later the school gave me a reward. I had won the talent show. I was surprised because who knew that I was going to win? Since then, my confidence level had boosted up real high. In the year of 2004, I graduated from middle school. I was happy, but no one showed up to my graduation. I was sad, but at the same time, I didn't care. That same year in the summer, my dad moved all of us, my brothers, sisters, and I, to West Boca. In 2005, I began going to this school called West Boca High School. I hated this school. Because it was boring and I didn't know anyone there, because it was the school's grand opening. My first friend that I met there was named Mark. He was a cool friend and he was nice. We started hanging out a lot and we played basketball together. One afternoon, I went to Mark's house to play basketball and I met this beautiful girl named Trish. This was Mark's sister. She came outside to play with us, and I didn't know what it was, but I began to really like her. I liked her to the point that every day I would begin coming to Mark's house and chill with him to see his sister. One day, Mark left, and she gave me her phone number. I called her, and we began talking on the phone a lot. Another day, she asked me to meet her somewhere. After she got out of school, we met up with each other, sat down, and began telling each other how we felt about each other. I came out of school one day, went home, and began writing and making music with my little brother and sister. My phone was ringing, and I thought it was Shay, and I picked up the phone and said, "Hi, baby." LOL, but it was her mother. I was so shocked. I didn't know what to say. Her mother said, "This is not Shay. This is her mother. I see you like my daughter, so let me make a deal with you," her mother told me. My daughter is not allowed to date, but since you seem like a nice guy, you can date her. But no babies, no doing things you aren't supposed to be doing, stay in school, and keep each other's grades up. I was like, okay. But in my mind, I was like, what? That's crazy. What? So after that, we started hanging out with each other even more and more. But Marcus didn't know that we were dating. So I came to hang out with him one afternoon, and I told him that his sister and I are dating, and he got so mad that we both started fighting, punching each other in the face. LOL. It was crazy. Trisha ran outside and tried to break up the fight, and he pushed her, and I fought him even harder. We finally stopped fighting, and we weren't friends for a few days. I came over again and talked to him. I told him how much I loved his sister, and that I wasn't going to hurt her. He said okay, then we became friends again. Me and Tisha was outside, sitting down, spending time together, and I told her I rap. She said, "Oh yeah? Let me hear you then." I started rapping, and she said that I needed help with my words. She was a poetry writer herself, so she began showing me how to rhyme words and put words together, and ever since then, I hung on to that. She also began helping me with my music by showing me how to make beats. My job at Burger King was my first job. I had bought this music program, and my brother had a new computer, so I downloaded the music program on there. I also bought a cheap mic from Walmart. I tried it out for the first time, and I began putting my first songs on a CD. I bought it to Tisha, and she told me that it sounds good, but that I still needed more help. Chapter 4. Ex-girl Tisha, after a year in high school, Lada, and Tisha's friend, Bill. It used to be the four of us at Tisha's house, in the back room, rapping all the time and having fun. And my rapping skills started to get better and better. Then by next year, 2006, I met these other kids, Chloe and Jason. They were outside the school doing freestyle rap, and I watched them and joined in, freestyling too. They laughed at me, but I told them that I was a freestyle beginner, and they told me that it was cool. I began making music, rapping with them. Everything was good and straight, and I was happy until the day of my life came to an end. Trisha and this girl she knew used to hang out all the time, and her friend's boyfriend left her, and she began hanging out with my girl a lot. I didn't think nothing of it until one day, Trisha called me and told me that she wanted to break up. When I asked why, she told me that there were other fishes in the sea. I cried, and I cried like a baby laying on the floor, and my little sister came in my room and told me to stop crying. She told me that everything was going to be okay. But for a few days I was not myself, and I began not to care about anything. My sister called me while she was in school one day and told me to come to her school. I came, and she hooked me up with this girl named Cherry. Cherry and I talked and kissed on the same day we met each other. She was all over me. The sadness that I had kind of went away. Then about 2 weeks later, Tisha called me and asked me to come over to her house. So I came over, and Trisha told me that she was sorry and that she didn't know what she was thinking. She kissed me, wanted to have sex and get back together, but I said no, and she looked at me like I was crazy. I told her I had another girl and that I wasn't going to cheat on her. Trisha began pulling my shirt as I tried to walk away, telling me she loved me and to please Trisha. I didn't stay, but she took that to heart and began hating me. She disliked me every time she saw me. Once, Trisha walked in a dollar store, and my new girlfriend, Cherry, saw her and walked up to her and told her, "If you take my man away from me, I will beat you up." Trisha didn't say anything from that point on, and walked away from Cherry and her sister. That same year, 2006, I started getting into trouble, and my dad kicked me out the house and sent me to go live with my auntie back in Boynton Beach, Florida. I ended up going to Boynton Beach High School. It was worse and rougher than West Boca High School. Every other week I would get into a fight with somebody. My auntie's head began to hurt because she didn't know what to do because I would keep getting into trouble. When summer came, she decided to send my brother Jay and I to stay in Detroit, Michigan with my brother. Fed had a huge 2-story house with a studio in the basement, and we began working on music together. Fed had made a couple of beats for me, and every day I would be in the basement making music night and day. I would only come out of the basement to eat, use the restroom, and answer calls from my girlfriend Cherry. At that time, I had made a whole album in a week, and it was a lot of good music. I let my brother hear it, and he liked it a lot. I stayed for 2 months, then I left to go back to West Palm Beach, Florida. I told my auntie that I didn't want to stay up in Detroit, Michigan anymore since it was too cold for me. She laughed at me, and that fall, I went back to Boynton Beach High School. I had all new classes, but this one class that I liked a lot was called TV production. My teacher named Mr.Tw showed us how to make videos and taught us a lot about video and TV production. I gave everyone the CD I made in Detroit. My teacher said that he liked it and wanted to do a project for the school with me called FCAT. I agreed, and I came up with a song called FCAT Baby. I did my part of the song, and I bought some of my recording equipment to school, and we recorded his part of the song. Then we recorded a video for FCAT Baby. Man, it was really nice. After the entire school saw the video, I became a school star, LOL. This girl was standing in front of an office, and as I was going to walk in, she told me to stop and wait. She opened the door for me, and she asked for my autograph. And to me, that was crazy. When I walked in the cafeteria, all the girls started going crazy. I laughed, and I was like, what? I'm a school star. And that pushed me to write a second song called Dress Code. And that video lit up. My song was played in all the school districts in Palm Beach County. Even my auntie had seen it when she turned on her TV one day. It was on PBS Kids. I would go to McDonald's, and girls would go crazy for me. My girlfriend, Cherry, began getting jealous of the other girls a lot, and broke up with me and went out with another boy. But at Boynton High, I began making new friends, and I met this dude named Trill. We had become friends, and I began coming to his house with my laptop and mic to record music. Soon, it was my cousin Black, Trill, his sister, and brother who could sing. We made a group named Seacrest Thugs. We made a whole mixtape together and passed out our CDs, and our fan rate rose. People all over Boynton began liking it, and before you knew it, everyone wanted to be my friend. I was going over everyone's house to make music and to record. One day, I met this girl named Key. She was a beautiful light-skinned, slim girl. We made a lot of songs together to the point I began liking her a lot. But she was a lot older than I was, and I wasn't really used to girls who were older than me at that time. Everything was going good until my best friend homeboy Trill asked to use my bank account to make money for the both of us. Being young at the time, I didn't know any better if this was right or wrong because I had put my trust in my friends. One morning, Trill called me out of class to go to the Del Rey Bank to meet up with some guys from Miami. When we came to talk to them, they had guns in their car and they were smoking weed. They told me that there was $30,000 in my bank account, so do not mess it up. Then I started getting scared. It was a good thing that my sister was working at the bank at that time. Trill and I had come up to her and tried to withdraw the money. She had refused to do it. Instead, she put a 10-day hold on it to protect me, and my homeboy Trill texted the boys outside to tell them what had happened. They got mad and left. While we were walking outside to get into my homeboy's car, they came back around the corner and began shooting at us. My heart began racing, thinking, oh Lord, I'm going to die. Trill speed out of the parking lot and speed all the way back to Boynton Beach. I thought, what if I didn't make it out of there? I thought about it more and joined this gang. I thought I was bad and that I was the stuff. I had to stop hanging out with my homeboy, and I began hanging out with them niggas a lot. They would be doing a lot of crazy things. They would be robbing and killing people and everything else you could think of. I wasn't killing anybody. I would only robbing and fighting people. I did have a gun though, but I never killed anybody. I shot at someone, but I never killed anyone. One time, I came out of school and I was by myself. My niggas were not with me. I walked to the store and bought a $5 chicken meal at the corner store, and there was a group of niggas waiting for me. After I got out the store, they all surrounded me, and I punched about 3 of them and tried to get away, but I got jumped. The police had come, and I had to go to the hospital for 2 days, and after I got out, things began to get serious. A group of guys would be driving up and down by my Annie's house, and she got mad and said, "That's enough of it." And she sent me back to my father's house in Boca Raton. I went back to Boca High School for 12th grade. When I was there, I always got mad and walked out of class. Since I was in the hallways all the time, my niggas started coming to Boca Raton to pick me up at times. They gave me a name called Souja, because I was like a Souja on the streets. And I got a tattoo on my arm saying Souja D, my first tattoo. One day, same old David getting into trouble all the time, the teacher sent me to the office to sit down. First lunch came, but I had second lunch. But I went to first anyway. So I left the office being bad again, and as I was walking down the hallway, I saw this girl, and she was so beautiful it was like a light shining over her. I didn't care now what to do or say to her. So I walked up to her and said, "Hi, how are you doing?" She said, "Okay." Then I asked if I could sit with her, and she said, "Yes." And I said, "Okay then." And I sat with her. I asked her if she went to the studio. She said, "Yes," but she thought I was talking about the hair studio. I laughed like, "Now, not the hair studio, I meant the music studio." Then the bell rung, and I walked her to class and held her books for her. After I dropped her off at her class, I was thinking to myself, dang, what do I do? I think I'm in love already. Every day I would hang out with her. Until one day, I asked her for her number, and she didn't want to give it to me. So I gave her my number. Chapter 5 Jade later on that day, I made a song about her and put it on a CD and gave it to her the next day. She listened to it and liked it. She asked me, "Are you trying to ask me out?" I was shy at first. Then I said, "Yes, I am." Then she told me she is not allowed to date because of her daddy. Wait, I thought. That killed me when she told me that. I was so sad I didn't talk to anybody the whole day. I actually did my work and was a good kid for the day. The teachers thought it was a dream come true. LOL. About a month later, my birthday had come on a Saturday, and Jade had called me out of nowhere and told me happy birthday. Then the following Monday, her brother came up to me and gave me a letter that she had written for me. It was a 4-page love letter telling me how she felt about me, and I was so happy. That was the best late birthday gift a brother could ever have. The next week, we started dating. We began being with each other, spending time with each other all the time. At that time, I was working at Chuck E. Cheese, and I bought her a gold 14K chain. I gave it to her, and she was so happy. I kissed her, and we held each other. Every day we would tell each other how much we loved each other, and I tried my best to make her happy. That was until my ex-girlfriend Trisha, the hater, came along and tried to break us up. Trisha would send 2 or 3 girls to Jade and try to break us up, but it didn't work on Jade. She didn't care about what they said. All she knew was that she loved me and that nothing could break us up. On Valentine's Day, we were the same color clothes, and I bought her candy and a lot of other things. I also gave her a phone because her mom and dad was mean. A few days after Valentine's Day, my niggas called me because they wanted to hang out, but I told them I was with my girl and they started laughing at me. They called me a lovebird-ass nigga. So I ended up staying with my girl and spent time with her. Later that night, I had found out my niggas had done something. They all got arrested and got put in jail for 10 to 20 years. Imagine if I didn't stay with my girl and left with my niggas, I would have gotten arrested too. They tried to rob a store and killed someone. God saved me from harm's way. He saved me from trouble, because that was not my destiny. That was not what he had me here on this earth for. So after I found out about what they had done, I cried about it a little, because I thought, what if I was with them losing a lot of years in my life? I thank God for that. I thank God for saving me. After my niggas got arrested, I continued hanging out with Julie more and more every day. The times I wasn't with her, I would be laying down or making music. One day, my friend Chris called me and asked to do a song with me. I said, yes, come to my house. About 3 hours later, he came, and we started recording a song. While I was rapping, there was someone knocking on my door. So I opened the door, and there was nobody there. So I closed the door, but they came back, knocking again. I came back to the door ready to yell at her, because I thought it was my little sister. But when I opened the door, it wasn't my sister. It was Jade and her sister waiting for me at the door. I laughed, because I thought she was my little sister. I let them in the room, and they watched us record music. After that, I got ready for work and walked Jade home. I then called my dad, and he told me to wait for him at the 99-cent store so he could pick me up and drop me off at work. 2 hours passed, and I was late. I called my job to tell them, and they said, no problem, just try to make it. Then I called my dad, and he said that he was on his way. Then I saw an ambulance pass by, but I didn't know it was for Jade. Then my dad came, and I went to work. 3 days had passed, and I didn't hear from Jade. She didn't have a phone anymore, and I couldn't call her house. So I waited and waited. The 4th day passed, and I was at the driver's license place waiting for my driver's license, and I got a call from Jade. She told me that her dad had beaten her. Then she left the house, blood pouring down her head, and some guy had seen her, called her over, and called the ambulance. I asked her, Jade, is there any way you can meet me later? She said, yes. Later on, I came to see her, and she was all messed up, black and blue all over. I held her close to me and cried. From that day on, I knew in my heart that I would have to protect her, always be by her side, and show her true love. Since then, everywhere she went, I was there with her, and I bought her a phone, so she could always get in contact for whenever she needed me. After I got done with school, I didn't go to college because I was too worried about her. About a month later, my dad wanted to move, and I started crying because I thought we were going to move far away, but we didn't move that far. We ended up moving only 10 miles away in Boca to Glades Road. I didn't have a car yet, so I used my bike to see her every day to spend time with her. I had given her the world of love. One day, as I was laying down in my bedroom, my dad busted in my room and told me to get out the house. I asked him, why? What did I do wrong? He never told me. He just told me to get out the house, so I left. I had just gotten a car at the time, and I put all of my clothes and things in the car and left. I drove to Old Bay apartment and parked my car. I was sitting there crying like, what did I do? I didn't do anything. Why is this happening to me? I spent like 3 weeks in my car. Julie would come and spend time with me and wash my clothes and give me food at times. She did all she could, and it made me love her more. After about a year of being on the streets, I got a phone call from my sister, Tally, and she asked me if I wanted to stay with her. I did, and I told Jade. Jade said that it was better for me there. So I left and moved to Wellington, Florida. My sister Tally helped me get a job at the hospital as a security guard. I began saving up for a place for me and Jade. I also paid my sister $200 a month, and she let me hold her car to go to Boca Raton to see and spend time with Jade. About a few months later, Jade and her father had gotten into a fight and hurt Jade again. This time, the police arrested him. The police told him that he was not allowed at the house. The mother had went to court and lied for the father, and the court found out that she was lying and took Jade, her sister, and her brother away to Child and Family Services, where they stayed in the boys and girls teen section. Jade called me and told me what happened. I cried and asked her where she was, and she told me. I came to the building and saw Jade, and when she saw me, she went crazy. She fell into my arms, cried and cried. Then I gave her another phone and bought her to the store to buy her the things she needed. After that, I began spending time with her every week. Some days I would take the bus up there and get stuck with no ride home. But it was okay. I didn't care too much because I knew she was all right. 3 months later, I got a call from Jade telling me she was out and at home. And I thought to myself, this is crazy. But I was happy because she was home. A month later, her dad came home and didn't talk to her. 2 months later, we broke up and she didn't care. I went my way and she went hers. We didn't talk for a few months, but for some reason I was still attached to her and wanted to get back with her because I still loved her. So I asked my friend Lovely where she worked and to tell her that I wanted to get back with Jade, and she said that she worked at Pizza Hut. I got my car and Melissa, her 2 sisters Kiki and Lily, and I drove to Pizza Hut to meet Jade. Jade had seen me, but didn't say anything at all. But that was okay, because that's how she was. The next week I called Melissa and told her that I wanted to get back with Jade. Melissa told me that she had moved and that she didn't stay with her mom anymore. I was in shock. Melissa told me she stayed with a friend, and my mind was blown because I would have never thought she'd be living with someone else. So I was like, okay, and left it alone. I got back with my ex-girlfriend Lisa, and we were okay for a minute. Everything was good. Her family and her mom liked me. Lisa's mom had even let me move in. But one day I visited my dad's house, and I got a phone call out of nowhere, and it was Melissa. Melissa told me that Jade needed help. I asked Melissa, "Why are you asking me?" She said, because I was the only person who could save her. I thought about it. I asked myself if I should get into this again. This is only God, I thought. My heart felt strongly to help her. I made a plan one day to do it. So Melissa got in contact with Jade, and Jade called me. I picked her up one night, bought her to work with me, and we talked for a long time. The next morning, I dropped her at home and spent the whole afternoon with my girlfriend Lisa. Later that night, as I was going to sleep, Jade called me crying to come pick her up. Her dad had gotten into a fight with her again. I drove 40 minutes from Wellington at 12 midnight to her house in Boca Raton. When I got there were like 4 police cars outside her house. I had gotten out of my car and asked Jade if she was okay, and she was signing papers with the police. I saw her dad sitting behind the police car, and I thought to myself, damn, life is crazy. The next day, when Jade's dad had gotten out of jail, he came back home and kicked her out the house. So I picked her up, and we drove around trying to figure out what to do. Then I called my little sister and asked her to ask my dad if Jade could stay there, and I told them that I would pay the rent for her. At first he said, he no. Then about 10 minutes later, she called back to tell me he said yes. So I paid $200 a month for Jade to stay at my dad's house, and every other day, I would come check on her to see how she was doing, like if she ate and things like that. For a minute, everything was running smooth until my girlfriend Lisa started acting crazy because I went to my dad's house a lot. In the back of her mind, she had suspected that I had a girl over there. So she called my sister's phone and asked her if I was hiding a girl at my dad's house. My sister lied for me and told her that no one was over here. Things began getting hectic. I wasn't doing anything with Jade. I wasn't cheating or anything like that, because at that time, Jade and I were just friends. I watched over her so often because she would get sick a lot. When I told Lisa, she didn't care that she was sick. She didn't understand how bad it was for her, so she broke up with me, and I had to move back into my dad's house about a month later. While I was living there, Jade and I had started dating again. Everything was okay until I lost my job, but I didn't give up. While I was looking a new job, my stepmother kept bothering me about rent money. So I ended up selling my car so she could stop bothering me about it. The next month, my brother Jay had called me and told me that he had a job for me. When I got the job, I began staying at home with Jade until Friday. Then I'd go to my sister's house to go to work until Monday, since it was closer. I was traveling for 6 months straight, every week, to go to work. Chapter 6. Things got real the next month came, and I left home to go to pick up my check and got on the bus with Jade. As she was laying on me, I got a call from my stepmother going crazy, saying a lot of things about Jade. She was telling me that Jade doesn't do anything at the house, and that she couldn't stay at the house anymore. She told me that I could stay, but Jade had to go. I was like, man, I'm not cold-hearted like you. So now me and Jade were homeless, and I was sitting at KFC thinking about what we were going to do. I was praying and asking God to please help. So I called my other sister, and she took us to a hotel. Jade and I was there for a week. I didn't have any money to buy food, so I had to steal from a gas station to give Jade food. Every day I'd go to work thinking about what I should do, until one day my sister called me and told me to talk to my nephew. I called my nephew and talked to his aunt, and she told me that she had a room for $400 a month, so I took the room and I used my brother's truck to get everything from my daddy's house. Every day I would go to work and try to take some overtime to make some extra money. For about 2 months everything was fine until I called off one night because I was really tired. I was sleeping, and for some reason I got up to check on Julie, and when I turned on the light, she was shaking and her eyes were about to turn to the back of her head. I picked her up out of the bed, put her on the floor to her side so that she could breathe, and called 911. They came and took her to the hospital, and I was sitting down crying because I almost lost her. Another month later, I went to work, and my nephew's aunt called me about Jade, saying that she doesn't want to do anything and that she slept with the TV on, so now she started charging me more money. I told my brother Jay about this at work, and he told me that he's about to get an apartment with his girlfriend and asked if I wanted to move in. He told me that we could pay half and half and that it wouldn't be a problem, and I said, okay. About 3 months later, I moved from where I was at with Jade to a new place with my brother Jawai. Over where we were there was no problems until we heard gunshots every now and then, but it was okay, we were used to it. Every time we heard a gunshot, we'd just jump on the floor. LOL, it's crazy, yo. About 5 months in this new place, I would check on Julie in the middle of the night, and on my days off we would cook and make food together, watch TV shows, hold each other, and sleep. But I was never fully asleep because I would stay up while she was asleep, and in the morning when she woke up, I would go to sleep. Then I would wake up in the middle of the afternoon, eat, shower, and I would sit down and write music while Julie did her hair in the bathroom. Sometimes her brother would come and check in on her, and I would have him stay with her on the days that I went to work to make it easy on myself. It was less stress on me. While I was at work, I would still call to check on Jade and to wake him up since he went to sleep sometimes. A week after Jade's brother left, Jade started acting dumb and crazy. She would have anger issues and got mad for every little thing. I didn't understand what the problem was. I asked her, "Why you acting like this? You know I love you and care for you." But that didn't work. She would try me until one day I said, "That's it," and cursed her out. But that didn't work either. She kept telling me that she doesn't want to stay with me no more and that she wanted to go back to her mother. Every other week, Jade's mother would come by and see her. But while she was seeing her and bringing her food, she was plotting to take her back home. Her mother would come by and tell Jade that it was okay because she would come get her soon. She was just looking for a place for her. I was thinking in my head, damn, Jade really got to leave me like that. And some days when I would be at work, I thinking, we had been together since I was 17 years old, and I lost a lot to make her happy and make everything better for her. I didn't understand. I had been a good man to her. Some days I would come home. She would be asleep. I would try to hold her, and she would push me away from her. That would really hurt me at times because I really loved her, tried to show love, be a good man to her. Chapter 7. Jade left, so I asked Jade, "Do you want to be with me anymore?" She told me no, she doesn't, and it really broke my heart. So I was like, okay. So her mother found a place for her, and she left. She took the covers and the food. I just had a bed, a TV, and clothes left for myself. She took almost everything, and I was sitting in my room, laying down thinking, Lord, what do I do now? And I started crying and crying. I asked myself, why she leave? And it was really killing me in the inside. 2 months after she left, there was no phone calls from Jade. One day at work, I was on Facebook and saw my ex-girlfriend from high school. I knew she knew how to sing, so I put my head back in music and tried to make a group. But she was the only one who wrote me back when I asked around. She took my number, called me, and we talked to each other. She gave the phone to her friend Shadi, since she knew how to sing too. Me and Shadi talked for like an hour, getting to know each other. I told her all about myself, and we had some things in common. Every now and then we would set up a day where they could see me, and we would meet up at my job. It was my ex, Samantha, and their friend. When everyone showed up, Shadi brought me some food, then we all talked. And I gave everyone a part and the beat to the song I wanted them to do. I met Shadi's son, Kay. Little Kay was a sweet little, light-skinned boy who was always smiling and always happy. He really liked me a lot for the first day. I was thinking in the back of my head, I hope he doesn't think I'm his dad, LOL. Every now and then Shadi and I would talk on the phone, and she started having strong feelings for me, and one day she told me that she liked me. She began telling me about the type of woman she is, and the way she wanted a man to treat her. I thought to myself, is she talking about me? On my days off I would be at home, and she would call me like crazy. Sometimes I would have to turn off my phone. It was crazy, and I would still be thinking about Julie. I was thinking about the times we had together, and I would ask God, why is it supposed to be like this? I had lost a big piece of myself from Jade, and here I had a girl that really wanted to be with me, and I didn't know how to like her. Every night at work, me and Shadi would be talking to each other. Chapter 8. Life with Shadi, we told each other about ourselves, our ways, and what we liked about each other. We told each other what we would do for one another. One day, she told me that she'll make me some food and come to spend time with me at work. I said okay, and about 3 hours later, she came to my job to spend some time with me, and I ate the food she gave me. I ate the food so I wouldn't make her sad, and told her it was good even though I didn't like it. But she had a big smile on her face after I told her it was good even though I didn't like the food. I showed her my songs on the laptop and one of my music videos, and she liked it. She gave me a hug then. After she left, I didn't feel too good, and I ran to the restroom. After a few days, for some weird reason, I started to like her a lot. I didn't know why, but every time I seemed to talk to her, my feelings would get stronger and stronger. The following week, we set up a date, and we went out to the beach at night. We sat down talking about our lives. I told her about my mom that died and about my dad that wasn't here for me. She told me out her mouth that she was going to love me and be here for me. We kissed and had sex on the beach. From that point, she told me that she loved me a lot and that she also wanted to marry me from that point. After another hour, she dropped me off at home, and I walked inside the apartment, laid down, and went to sleep. In my mind, I'm thinking, did I just make love to another girl? And I asked myself a question. Why did I sound like this? Why is she on my mind like this? Why did Jade leave me? Why did she stop loving me? My life wasn't like this. In the morning after I woke up, I went to work and told my brother Jay about this girl. And my brother asked me if I'm sure that this is what I really wanted, because Jade might still love me. And I told my brother that if Jade was to love me no matter what I do, she would have stayed with me. We were supposed to live our life together, but she wanted to go with her mother. So that is not love, bro. But on the other hand, this girl Shotty, she can't even stop calling me. There was not a day where she stopped calling or did not want to see me. She really liked me and loved me, and 2 months later, we moved in together. We spent every day holding each other and spending a lot of time together. Her little son Kay was the prettiest little boy. He always smiled and was very playful. I played with him all the time, and we would run around the house, act crazy, dance, and lay out on the floor. Every week, me and my girl would go out to eat and spend time together when we weren't working. But one day I was laying down, the baby was at school, my girl was at work, in the apartment by myself, and as I was laying there, something came slapped me in my face. I was looking crazy, like what was that, trying to figure out what it was. I didn't pay it too much mind, and I began making plans with Shotty to get married and have a baby. I was happy because I couldn't believe I found a girl that wanted the same things in life as me. I had gotten this new security job at a hotel in West Palm Beach. I had taken a full-time position. I was working 6 days a week overnight. After a few months of working at this job, my girl started to act different, but I didn't pay it any mind. About a month later, me, my girl, and son was at the mall, and I had to use the restroom. After I came out, my girl, and I was walking, and I told her that I didn't feel too well. She asked me what was wrong, and I told her I felt weak and tired. And out of nowhere, I started to get super weak. My girl had to drive me home. After we got home, I stayed in the car to mess with the radio and the new CDs that I had bought. Then I felt the same way again, and I told her that I was going somewhere and that I'll be right back. She said, "Okay, be safe." I ended up driving myself to the hospital to see what was going on. When I got there, the nurse lady checked me after I told her about everything that is going on. She asked if I was diabetic, and I told her I wasn't. She said, "Well, let me check you anyway." After she checked me, her eyes grew big. She looked at me and said, "Your sugar is 900. I was like, "What? How is that possible?" So she put me in a room, and 2 doctors came in to check me and said that I have to stay in the hospital. I called my friend Demore and asked him to pick my girl up from the house and bring her here to the hospital. Soon, Demore and my girl were both at the hospital. I was doing okay then. Out of nowhere, the muscles in my body started getting tight and really tight, and I was going crazy, screaming at the top of my lungs. The doctors tried to hold me down. It was too much pain for me to handle. Then they gave me a shot. Then, after an hour, they put me in the ICU, and I fell asleep. When I woke up, I saw my auntie and her husband looking at me. I was shocked because they never came to the hospital for anything. Then I cried. After about 2 hours, my girl showed up. I stayed in the hospital for about 2 weeks. After I got out, I could not walk straight and had a lot of sore pain in my body. I cried because I knew things were not the same anymore. So I prayed and asked God, why? Why? And my sugar would go up and down like crazy. A month after I left the hospital, my girl started acting really funny. She left me on my own with this sickness. I didn't know what to do. I had felt lost and lonely at the time. She stopped making food. She just started getting mean and always mad at something. Things between me and her got really bad, and I really did not understand why. On Valentine's Day, I bought her a lot of Valentine's gifts to make her happy, but it didn't work. She didn't want it, and that had hurt me a lot, because all I did was try to show her love, give her love, be there for her, and love her. But I didn't know what was going on with her. Everything that I tried, it didn't work. At that time and moment, I wanted to leave this earth because I felt like I lost everything. 3 months later, I moved out and stayed at my aunt's house with her and her husband, and I tried to carry my life back on. But things just got worse and worse to the point where my ex-girlfriend took the car and I lost my job. I was single, sick, and broke. Nobody wanted to help me. About 4 months later, I met this other girl online, and she was nice. We would talk all the time, and she would call me to check on me to see how I was doing. Chapter 9. Dating Yola 2013. Yolanda asked me if she could come and stay with me. I said, I don't have my own place. I stay in a room, and I don't have a job right now either. She said she didn't care. She just wanted to be with me because she was getting kicked out from where she was at. I thought about it and I said, okay, come. I don't want you to be out on the street with your baby. 2 weeks later, she came and lived with me. Then about a month later, my Aunt wanted my girl to leave the house, and I was like, what? Where is she going to live? So we both ended up on the streets with no job, no place to live with no money. We were sleeping at parks with the baby. Then one night at the park I was sleeping and Yolanda opened her eyes and she saw an angel looking at her. I didn't realize it and I got up and walked away to go pee. The angel followed me everywhere I went. And it started from that point. I came to understand spiritual warfare. One day, my homeboy Trill asked his family if I could stay with them, and they told me that I could stay, but I would have to pay $200 a month, and at the time my girl was getting food stamps, plus money from the government. To be honest, it was the Lord watching over us and blessing us. We spent 2 months there, then we had to leave, because we couldn't pay anymore, and I felt that it was time to go. My girl didn't want to leave, but I told her we had to leave. So after we left, we were on the street again, trying to find a place to live, walking around. But nobody wanted to help us. So we slept at the park again, and the next morning we got on the bus and went to West Palm Lord's Place shelter to find help. We spent a whole day there trying to find a place and signing papers. They eventually found a place for us, but I couldn't go because I had a warrant out for my arrest. So I left my girl to go to the housing complex, and I went to go to jail for 3 days. It was bad. It was cold, and I couldn't sleep. I didn't eat any food, and I was trying to keep myself good, but it was hard. Chapter 9, Part 2. Jail. The bread was nasty. The people was crazy. I had to change my clothes naked in front of everybody. They chained my legs and feet together until I got to the C4 area, my bed area. Then they would take off my chains. I laid in bed, looking out the window. It was so small and tiny that I was thinking in my head, there is no hope. Only if I can just fly out of this place to go to a better place. I hated it when I was in there. So I closed my eyes, praying to God to please let me know when I would be getting out. I closed my eyes to dream to the Lord to let me make it out of this place because I couldn't take it. I was so stressed out that I cried and kept telling myself I'm never going to this place again, never in life. After I got out of jail, my sister picked me up and brought me to a hotel to sleep for the night. Man, I was so happy even though it was one night. I slept like a baby LOL. The next morning after I left, I took the bus to Delray Beach to go to a recording studio, and after I got out the studio, I went to Boynton Beach to the park. I was sitting there just looking at the water, then my girl finally called me and told me where she was. I got on the bus to go to the place where she was at. Then after I got there, I had snuck in because I wasn't allowed to be in there. After the next day, I went to the people's office to get my name put on the list. After I got my name put down on the list, we were there for 2 months after that. The day before our last day there, they told us that if we didn't find a place that they will just take the baby and kick us out. Then my girl and I had a long talk about what we were going to do. After that, she called some people to find a place for her and the baby. She told me she found a place somewhere and that someone was coming to get her. I sat down and watched her pack her things, and I thought in my head, what am I going to do now? All around with nobody to love and got to be alone in the streets. But it was okay because it was what was best for the baby. I didn't want her to live in this kind of time and way. After they left, I sat in the room and cried to the Lord, I'm all alone. What do I do, Dad? I cried and I cried. The next morning, I left to drop my bag at my auntie's house and took what I needed. After that, I took the bus to Boca Raton because there were some resources that I could use to get free food, take a shower, and wash my clothes. After I ate there in Boca Raton, I walked to my friend Melissa's house. After I got there, I chilled and my friend Kiki braided my hair. Chapter 10. In Boca, so after my hair was done getting braided, I was sitting on the floor, chilling, talking to Kiki. After that, 10 minutes later, Kiki Mom told me that I couldn't be there every day. She said Jam was acting stupid and she didn't want to hear him talking in her head. I said, okay, no problem. Then after that I left and didn't come back over for 2 weeks. After I came back there one day to get my hair braided again by Kiki, Benjamin had come home. After Kiki was finished my hair, I received a phone call and went outside on the sidewalk. 20 minutes later, Kiki comes running outside, all mad. I was like, what's wrong with you? She said Benjamin was yelling at her mom because he had seen me there. After that day, I wasn't allowed to come there. Even now, I would have to sneak in and watch for the times he would come home. I didn't understand because I knew these people for years. I really didn't understand it, and it kind of hurt me a little, but I stayed away from the house. Since I couldn't go back in the house, I would just be at Dunkin' Donuts, sitting down every day praying and thinking in my mind what I should do for the day, and at night where I would sleep. I slept in a storage room that had electrical wires in the inside of it. Every night, it would be day with no shower or with nowhere to brush my teeth. Things were just really bad. Every day I would go look for jobs and I was on this website called LinkedIn, and on that site I used for music. I met this lady named Tanya. We would talk on the phone every day, and she would always pray for me and ask me how I was doing. She would call me at 1 in the morning, sometimes, just to check up on me. She said that I would find a place that God had for me really soon. One day, Lily Keeks and Melissa's sister called me and said she wanted me to meet me somewhere. And I said, okay, let's go. Then we met up, and she asked if I wanted to get a place together. I said, okay, why not? They looked for places, and I looked a little myself. The day that I was supposed to move in with them, something crazy happened. God's works. I told Jessica I would be back, and I walked to Dunkin' Donuts, and this lady asked me if I could help her, and I said, okay. She told me to watch her cart for her, and I said, okay. Then she walked behind a house to give her friend a drink and came back to ask me if I could walk with her. I said, okay. After I walked with her, she said she knew something about my mother and my grandma in heaven, that they still pray for me. Then we walked to this restaurant, and we sat down outside. Then we went to go inside to get a drink and came back outside. The lady was talking to me, and I turned on my recorder. After I turned my recorder on, this old white man was leaving the restaurant, and she told him about his life, and that someone still loved him. Then we walked to the church, and on the way to the church we met 2 black girls, and we sat down under a tree and talked and prayed. After that, we got to the church, and she told me to pray and talk to God about anything, and she left and told me that she would be back. I said, okay. Then I put my head down and prayed. We talked some more after she came back, and we left the church to go to 7-Eleven. There, we met this lady named Meme and her kids. They talked for a while, then by the side of the building they began praying out loud, and the kids were dancing, and the little girl put a sword around my neck twice, and my feet to represent the Lord's anointing in my life. Then we all got in the car and left together. After that, we went to the first lady I met house. We sat outside and Meme started to pray over me and tell me about my life. We stayed there for 4 hours. My friends were calling me at Dunkin' Donuts to see where I went. I told them that I was coming, and I came with Meme to their house, and she picked them up. We left for Deerfield to go to Popeye's Chicken and sat in McDonald's parking lot eating and praying for 3 hours on October 31st at 2 in the morning. Meme dropped my friends home. Then I told her to drop me off at the donut shop. After that, she asked if someone was going to come get me, and I told her that this was where I lived. She said, let's go, and I got in the car with her. She brought me to her house, and her kids, and I sat outside while she went to go talk to her boyfriend to ask if I could stay over. An hour later, she came back out and got me. They gave me a pillow and a cover to sleep. The next morning, I got up, and they called me in the room. We talked and got to know each other. The boyfriend and Meme, I all held hands and prayed. After that, Meme made some food. We all ate. Then her boyfriend went to work. Meme and I drove around, and she talked to me, asking me questions about my life, and I asked her questions about God. I thought how this was crazy how things happened. Her young daughter got close to me really fast. Chapter 10.5 Living with Meme. I only knew her for a day, and I ended up living with them. On my birthday, I got a cake and $50, which was really nice. My father gave me a family to care about me at the same time. I was on another mission for God, but I didn't know what the mission was going to be about, but I knew it would be for something great. The months of November and December were good. I would pick up Melissa and Kiki almost every day to come chill with me. We read the Bible and had fun together. Meme had driven Melissa, Kiki, Anthony, the kids, and I to a church in Miami. It was very far, but it was a huge, beautiful church that you would get lost in if you didn't know where you were going. So every week, we would go to the church in Miami. We would have fun, dance, and praise the Lord at church. At that moment in time, I really had gotten close with God. I began to learn some things that I didn't know before, a lot of new things. There would be times when we would go outside and pray to God. We would also go in the house and pray to God. We were on the battlefield between God and the enemy. Every day, Kiki, Melissa, Meme, the kids, and myself would hang with each other. Every now and then, we would have issues with Anthony. Sometimes he wouldn't talk to anybody. He would just have straight issues, but he would try to hide it and act like everything is okay, but really his actions would show that he really had issues with me. At times I would leave and be to myself and think. Meme would also tell me that there is something that I had to do. I would think to God, what is it that I need to do? I would sit on the stairs and pray to God, asking him to please forgive me of my sins and my ways. Meme and everyone else I knew kept telling me that I'm the chosen one by my Father, and I knew in my heart that there was something that I have to do. I was born a special child with many gifts that I didn't know much about, because ever since I was a child, the enemy tried to hurt me. The enemy tried to make me not know about God, but now that I was in order, my mind started to open up. I understood more about life, people, and myself more. Chapter 11 Dating Kiki. There were days where I would sit with Kiki and Melissa and read the Bible, and we would read to each other. Every other day, when Meme would cook, she would let me use her car to go pick up Kiki from work. The more time I would spend with Kiki, the stronger my love would get for her. I told her how I really felt. I told her it was to the point where I wanted to wife her up, but she kept telling me that she was waiting on the Lord to show her who the one is for her. Every time she told me that, my heart hurt, because I had love for Kiki and wanted to the best man she ever had in her life. But I knew I wasn't going to be the one for her. Nickel was hanging out one day with Keek's mama, and Keek's mom told Kiki to date me because I'm a good guy. Kiki didn't want to go out with me because at the time I didn't have nothing. It really hurt me a lot when Meme told me that, but for some reason I kept it going and kept asking her out. One day, I was laying down at Meme's house, and Kiki was spending the night. She laid down next to me, and she asked me if I loved her, and I said yes. Then she told me she changed her mind, and we became a couple that night. She fell asleep in my arms, and the next day I told her sister, Melissa, that we were together. She said, "What?" then smiled. The whole week, Kiki and I were good. Kiki, Melissa, the kids, my cousin and I went to visit a huge model house just to look inside, just to have a little fun. Saturday night, I asked Kiki if she wanted to come to church with us in Miami on Sunday, and she said yes. She told Meme she was going, so her mind was made up. Sunday morning came, and I was lying next to her, her phone rang, and her pastor called to ask if she was going to their church, and she said no. After she hung up, her pastor's friend called her back and kept telling her to come. She then got up and asked me to bring her home, and she went to her church. Later on that day, Melissa, Meme, and I went to church in Miami, and on the way coming back home, Kiki called me. She told me that she wanted to break up with me. I sat in the car and cried and cried. I asked her why she wanted to break up, and she told me after she got finished talking with her pastor that I wasn't the one. I said okay, and left her alone. Later on that night, I sat at home thinking and thinking. Then I don't know what came over me, but I left the house and went for a walk to clear my mind. I sat at the bus stop at 3 in the morning, just thinking and thinking. Why are things so hard? Why can't I find a girl that loves me? Then my friend from Illinois had called me around the same time I was sitting at the bus stop. As we were talking, I was heading back home. After I got home, I just laid down and slept. The next morning, I forgot all about it and just let it be, but I still had love for her. The next week on a Thursday, I was sitting down making music, and Nickel came up to me to tell me that Kiki was having problems on the bus. But we didn't have any gas in the car to go pick her up in Broward County, so we drove the car that had no gas with Faith to bring her back home. After we got home, I asked Kiki if she was okay, and she said yes. Then I drove Meme's car to go to Keek's house to pick up her school bag that she uses all the time. After that, I went back home and just chilled. I ate and talked with Meme, the kids, Melissa, and Kiki. We joked around. Then, like always, Meme's boyfriend would come home and hate and stuff. I would just sit and watch the things that went on and pray sometimes. Chapter 12. David left the house one day, Meme, and I came home, and she found a letter that her boyfriend left. The letter said that Meme and I had to leave by January 16th, 2014. That night I prayed and prayed to the Lord that he would give us a place to stay for when that time came, but we just let it be and didn't think about it. The year was about to change, so we wanted to go to church, but we didn't have enough gas money. We asked everyone we knew, but we couldn't find no help. So we just sat in the car in front of Kiki Mom's house to try to figure things out. There was this Haitian guy who walked by, and I tried to sell the laptop that Lovely had given me to him, but the Haitian guy was acting picky. He lied to me and walked away. I saw another guy and tried to sell him the laptop. He took it, showed it to his girlfriend, and she told us no, that she didn't want it. Then I sat back in the car, trying to figure out what to do again. I then got my bag and the laptop and walked away. As I was walking, I had seen this store and went inside. It was a fruit store. I asked the cashier, "I'm selling a laptop. Would you like to buy it?" I showed it to him. He looked at it, checked it out, then gave me money for it. After that, I ran back to the car and Meme, Melissa, Kiki, and I left for Miami to go to the church. I thanked God. After we all got to the church, there was so much people there. It was live, and we had a lot of fun. After the church service ended, as we were driving back home, I was thinking of everything that the pastor said about the new year, how everything was going to be new. I was thinking in my mind, what is the next move with life? I wanted a wife, some kids, good money to live a good life, and to keep making music. So many thoughts were going through my mind, but I was also thinking about how Meme and I had to move out soon. After we got home, I went to sleep. The next morning I woke up, chilled with Melissa, and we started talking about things. And she was telling me that she wanted a husband and to become a big businesswoman. I said to her, "It's going to happen, just believe and trust in God." The next day, I left the house to go to the library to look for jobs. After I left the library, I went home. For a whole week straight, Meme, Melissa, and I would look for jobs. One day, I woke up and I was looking for Meme, and she was gone for a whole day. I called Melissa and asked for Meme, and she told me that she didn't know where she was. Melissa asked me if I was going to Bible study tonight. I told her, yeah. My friend Ashley called me, and I came to pick us up to go to Bible study. After we came home from Bible study, I walked to the room to use the restroom. While I was in the bathroom, Anthony and his brother came into the house. They were unaware that I was in the house with them. I heard Anthony's brother say, "Are you going to tell him?" And Anthony said, "When he gets back home." I waited for them to go back downstairs, then I left the bathroom. I went to the kitchen, and Anthony came back in the kitchen, acting like he was washing a dish. He then told me that Meme told him that I didn't like him and was against him. He also said that Melissa said the same thing, but I knew that there was no way in hell that that was true. I knew that everything he was saying was a lie, so I told him. I knew Melissa since I was a child and that she would never lie. I know her better than anyone. He said, "Well, you guys have until January 16th. I said, "Okay." I thought about it for a second and thought, why don't I just leave now? What am I waiting for? So I left the house and put all my things in the storage room that I knew about. It was down under the stairs outside the apartment building. After that, I walked to the corner of the street and waited for this girl to come pick me up. It was cold and I didn't have a jacket. After my friend, the girl, came and picked me up, we drove to a park. We talked about everything that had happened, and out of nowhere, Melissa sent me a message of everything Meme had said. The message read, "David was talking about me. David said he slept with me." I was thinking in my head, this is crazy. It's a lie and a plan just to make me leave. Chapter 13. David on the street again. That same night, I slept in the storage room. I called my sister and asked if I could stay over. She said, yes. But she had no idea that I was on the street. I had never told her that. The next day, I caught the bus to go to East Boca to get free food to eat. As I sat on the bus, I was thinking in my mind, why is this world like this? You fall for the same people, and all they can do is break you. I was very hurt, because Meme and I were close friends, and I could have done anything for her. But I had also missed the kids. I was alone again. I felt like everyone left. I thought I had failed the work of God for like a month. I started going to school at the soup kitchen for safe staff, food safety provider, and every afternoon I would sit at Dunkin' Donuts and read the Bible. Sometimes Melissa would chill with me, and sometimes Pettily, Jade's sister, would chill with me. Sometimes when Kiki would get off work, she would also chill with me. But that was only when she wasn't mad at me, lol, but it's cool. But now I was on the street again, and I wondered, Lord, what would I do now? I wanted to go to Daystar Church, my old church, but I couldn't. I would sit at Dunkin' Donuts, watch the van drive by, pick up everyone, and sometimes cry. I felt like I was lost. But as I kept reading the Bible, God started to show me that I wasn't lost. Even though I was still on the streets, I started learning new things to take care of myself. I would chill with Pettily at McDonald's, and sometimes she would buy me food. Then I would walk her home around 2 a.m. in the morning, since she lived in a poor area. After I would drop her off, I would go to this local pool by some apartment buildings and take a bath to clean myself. I did this around the same time every day. This was around the same time I began writing this book. Every night, I would go to Bible study. There I prayed and prayed. At night, I would sleep in open abandoned houses or sometimes at McDonald's. My life was like this for about a month and a few weeks, until one day I got a phone call from my sister Luna. She told me that my brother was in the area and that I should go up to Maryland with him. She said that my life and everything would be better. I thought about it, and the next day Publix had called me for a job, and I went to the interview. They were trying to give me a sweet spot for $10.75 an hour. Chapter 14. Living in Maryland, I thought to myself and asked God, is it for me to stay here or leave and go to Maryland? So, I followed my faith, and I left with my brother to go to Maryland. When I first got there, I thought to myself, I want to go back. But I also thought, what would I go back to? So I just dealt with it for a little while. But every now and then, my brother would get me mad. Every time I ate something, he would get mad. Everything I did, he would get mad. It was really making me mad. Then I got a call from my friend Tanya, and she told me to just be strong and stay humble. And Mrs. Charlotte also told me not to listen to my brother. After a month, my brother left and went to spend time with his girlfriend. So I had a little break from him. I used the things in the house to put a little studio together, and I made a whole album called Joy and Love. And when my brother came back, he got mad one day and took his mixer and messed up the studio. At first I was mad, then I sat down and thought about it. I thought to myself, it's only spiritual warfare, so I forgot about it. I said in my mind, the Father is going to give me a new studio. About 2 months later, I went to this shop and traded in the computer that I had, and God blessed me with a very good, decent computer. I was happy, and when I got home, as I was using it, my brother was hating so bad because he didn't want to see me with anything good. About 10 p.m. at night, he came at me, talking loud, saying, "Where is my computer?" I told him to stop acting dumb. I said, "The laptop I traded at the store you gave to me." He had a desktop and 2 more laptops, and he had the nerve to come at me for an old computer he gave me because I got a better one. I got so mad. I really wanted to punch him in the face. I got up, took some clothes, and left. I walked and got on a bus to the Greyhound station. I didn't have any money to get on the Greyhound bus, and it was around 2 a.m., so I called this girl I knew, and she paid the ticket online for me. I came down to Florida for a day. My cousin asked me, "What are you doing here? You need to go back up." So the next day, I sold my laptop and called my friend Demore so I could go back to Maryland. I gave him cash, and he used his bank card to get a ticket online for me. The next morning, my cousin Chris dropped me off at the bus stop, and I caught the bus to the West Palm Beach Greyhound station. My departure wasn't until 1 p.m., and I was so hungry and didn't have any money. I sat there, and about an hour later, there was this lady that goes by the name of Kristen. She was a nice, cheerful lady, and she gave me an apple, and we left and walked to the Macy's store. She had to buy new pants. Then we walked to Publix, and she bought me a drink. We came back to the station, and we sat down. She showed me pictures of her kids and was telling me how God helped her and the things God had done in her life. She had this book, and she let me read it. When the bus came, she sat next to me for the whole trip back to Maryland, and she was on her way to New York. She kept telling me that there was a reason we met, and she gave me her number to keep in contact with her. We got to the last station, and we had to go our different ways. When I sat on my bus, I felt alone. Then I sent her a text that said, "I'll see you soon. Take care." I sat on my bus and went to sleep, waiting until I got back to Washington, D.C. When I got off the bus, I didn't have a ride home, and I was lost in D.C. for 2 hours. Then I found a bus. I got on and didn't have to pay for the fare. I didn't have any more money. That bus brought me all the way to the area where my brother stayed. Then I got home. Mrs. Charlotte gave me a letter from Peter Popoff that he sent to me. I read the letter, and I had joy in my heart. My blessing was still on the way. I had fallen off track, but by the grace of God I got back on. And I thought, I can keep doing what God has me to do. And every day I would pray, read, and try to understand the Bible and the words in it. And every now and then I would talk to Mrs. Charlotte about my life, and she would try to give me strength all the time, and she would tell me things about my mom that I didn't know. Chapter 15. Baptist Church. I had left my house one day and began walking around, and I found a church called the Baptist Church of Maryland. I went there for a few days, then I got a job at Target and told my boss that I couldn't work Sundays because I have church, and he said okay. But he put me down for every day 8 a.m. in the morning anyway. Boy, I was so mad. I was like, whatever, and I just stayed and worked. Every day I would come home and wait at the 12 bus stop, and I met this old woman about 50 years old, and she was a nice lady. She started talking, and I enjoyed her talking to me. The both of us were on the bus 12, and I thought she had another stop to go to, but we both got off at the same stop, and it was funny. I walked her home because she was an elderly lady, and she let me come inside of her house, and we talked about God. She showed me some things in the Bible, and I would share some of my stories with her, and she shared her stories with me too. Chapter 16. Getting to know Dana. That same night I went home. The next morning, she called me and I had breakfast with her. I was happy I had somebody to talk to and chill with, and who could tell me some words. Weeks and weeks would pass by. Then one day she told me about this girl at her job that sings and connected me with her. She also told me about this youth concert that they were having. Then that same night, my friend Tanya called me and told me about DMV Idols. I went to it, but at the same time I felt like I didn't want to go. But for some reason, I said to myself, let me go, and maybe a blessing might come out of it. So I went early, and these two other guys came early too. They were telling me that they already been there before. I was like, that's cool. I was waiting in a long line for my turn. I got inside, and I rapped for them, and they said that they didn't like it. I said, okay then. After I got home, I started crying to myself a lot. I wasn't right for a few days. Then I went to Dana's house, because my brother was acting like a jerk at home. When I got to Dana's house, she started getting loud and mad about her kids. She would curse, and sometimes I couldn't take it dealing with my brother. Then at Dana's house, there was nothing but anger. Then at my job, the bosses were on my back. It was like the world was against me. Everywhere I turned, there was something always going wrong. Then my brother's son was blowing up my phone, calling me with all his problems. I didn't have anyone to turn to but God. So I did a show at Pastor Church, and it was okay. Some people liked my performance at the church, but I didn't make it in the DMV Idols. But that made me want to do music more and stronger. So I just turned my head into music and just dealt with everything. I had owed Dana like $12, and I tried to pay her back, but she didn't want it, and she told me she is not stunt in me anymore. That's when I cleared it. I'm not to be around people who don't want me around. It's like one day people love you, then one day everything changes just like that. Like what happened? Life is crazy. So I just chilling to myself and talking to Dana's daughter every day, and also talking to her while she went to Georgia. I told her daughter that that was where she is supposed to be, but all the things her and her mama go through, they can't stay without talking to each other. They were mean and crazy, but they still loved each other. That was the good part. But they couldn't be around each other. I stopped messing with the daughter and mother and stayed to myself. I met this girl at my job named Terry. She was brown skin, very beautiful, nice smile, and mad funny. That day we just kept smiling and flirting with each other like crazy. Everywhere I would go, she'd go. We would walk around the store looking for each other when I went on break. We dated the same day, and the next day we planned to meet each other, chill at my house, and make music. Chapter 17. David and Terry. So the next day, after I got off of work, she came to meet me at my job, then she went with me to my house. We talked, kissed, then made a little music. Then I walked her to her bus stop. We kissed, held each other, talked about marriage, and living a life together. She really liked me a lot. I went back home with a big smile on my face. Then I slept to go to work in the morning. I started work at 8 a.m. and she started at 11 a.m. I was standing, guarding the front door at Target, and she walked in for work. I smiled and told her she was beautiful, but throughout the day her ex-boyfriend was also working there and kept having jealousy problems. He kept looking at me, trying to make a rumor about her on the job. I was kind of mad and wanted to beat him up, but I thought about it, and I didn't want to lose my job. On my break, I sat and talked to her and told her not to worry about him, because you have a real soldier here. Don't let him bring you down. And I told her she was beautiful, just to ease her mind. Then after work she left and went home. Then she texted me to see if I was okay and if I got off work yet. She told me to text her on the way home, and when I got home, I thought about her a lot. I got home the same day, and as I was washing clothes, I began thinking about her. I thought about her baby boy and that she had to move out where she was staying in 2 months, and I didn't have a place to put her. I was her man now, and she doesn't make enough money. So it was up to God. I said to God, please help me because I really like this girl and want to make things happen between me and her, and she loves music just like me. The next day I went to work, and a few days after that day, she broke up with me. She told me she had just gotten out of a relationship of 4 years. She just wanted some time to herself. I said okay, but it hurt me a lot because I really liked her. So I backed off for a little while. Few days would pass by and I would feel really lonely, and all the feelings would come back when I saw her. One day, I tried to talk to her about getting back together, but she told me that she already had somebody. Then I was confused because I thought we were just taking time off. But I already knew she wasn't going to stay with me because of the things that she was going through and the life she was living. I didn't have anything but just a job, and it wasn't enough for her. But it still had hurt me a lot, to the point where I would stay away from her sometimes, and I wouldn't say anything when she talked to me. But for some reason, every time I would see her, all the feelings would come back and strong. I had to forgive her and just try to become her friend. After dealing with things with her, a rumor began to spread at Target, but I didn't care about it because it was just little kid games to me. Chapter 18. David and Nay. I had met this girl named Nay. She was very beautiful. At the time when I was dating Terry, I was walking by, and as she was fixing clothes, I had come up to her and asked her, "What is your race?" She said, "I'm just black." I said, "Okay," and I walked off because she looked like she didn't want to talk. Another day, she was in the front stocking, and I came up to her again and asked her, "Do you want to do music?" She said, "Yes." She also said she heard of me by other people in the store. Then I explained everything to her about the record label I'm trying to make. She said I had to talk to her partner to see if it's okay. I said, "All right, I will ask." I saw him in the break room one day and showed him my music. He said that he liked it, and the next day Nay came up to me and told me that her partner said that it was fine. She was going to give me her number, but she had to go and told me to get her number from her partner. I said, "Okay." A week later, on my day off, she called me early in the morning and asked if she can come over to do music. I said, "Okay." And a few hours later, she came over with her partner for that day. The first song we did, she really liked it. Then she started coming around a lot. But one afternoon while we sat down and listened to music, we just started talking out of nowhere. I told her a little about my past life, and she started crying. Then I gave her this book that I'm writing now to read so she could know my life and about me. For some reason, I felt like she had something wrong with her. I asked, but she didn't want to say anything. The next day, she came to my house again. She spent a lot of time with me, and one night, I took her outside to talk. She told me about her, and in my heart, I really wanted to help and also be with her. And I wanted to give her the love in her life that she never had before. She told me that she wasn't ready for another relationship right now. Then her ride came and picked her up. I still thought to myself, maybe this is my wife. So the following Friday morning I called, texted, and asked her if she wanted to go to the movies with me. She said, yes. So that afternoon we met with each other at the movies, and she was looking so beautiful, I didn't know what to say. We sat down and talked a little bit. Then I bought tickets and food for the movie, and we sat down in the theater to watch the movie. We talked, laughed, and had a good time. Then after we left the movie theater, we walked to the train station. I got on the train with her and bought her halfway home. Then I was on my way home, and I was hungry, so I stopped at McDonald's and bought some food, walked to the bus stop to wait for the bus. This guy and lady asked me for money, and I said that I didn't have money on me, but I had a card. Then I said, "Here's my food." They were happy, and I was hungry, but I ate when I got home. And that day I had spent time with her. I made a song for her and sent it to her that night. Then on Sunday, she came to church with me. After church, she came to my house with me, and we sat down. I showed her the song I made for her, and she was happy and had a smile on her face. I didn't know what to do with myself, because I really wanted to kiss her. After that, we made another song together, and the following Friday, we did a show at my church. Her family came, and I greeted all of them, even her mom. We did 2 songs, and her mother was really happy, saying, "Lord, thank you, God," and going crazy for her daughter. Then sometime before she left, she told me she loved me and texted, "Good night, I love you." I also said, "I love you too." Then a week later, she came over to record music, and I was kind of mad a little, because I didn't hear from her for the whole week. Her friend came over and brought another friend. One friend was cool, but the other friend, for some reason I didn't like. I was also jealous because she was sitting between 2 guys, but what could I say? She was not my girl. She was just a girl I liked, and just another girl started to have love for. After that day, for a few days I hadn't heard from her, and one night I asked God, "Is this my wife? Because she is leaving me." And I could not sleep. So the next day, I texted her, sorry for acting mad, because I knew she had seen it that day. So since then, I hadn't heard from her at all. When I would text her, she didn't text back. When I called, she didn't pick up. It started to get to me a lot. Then on some afternoon, I felt a certain way, and I texted my pastor and told him I wasn't going to the church places that he asked us to go to. Then, an hour later, he called back and asked me if I still want to come with him. Then I changed my mind and went to church. The message my pastor was preaching had gotten to me. After church, pastor, a few other members, and I had went to Taco Bell to eat. Then, after we ate, we all drove home in pastor's car. While pastor was driving, he kept falling asleep, and I kept waking him up. While we were driving, a car had come out of nowhere, and we almost hit it. Then, when we got by my house, another car almost crashed into us. I quickly turned pastor's wheel at the last minute, and didn't even realize that I did. Then after I got home, I prayed, and Mrs. Charlotte, the lady I stay with, woke up and started telling me what happened at her job. She started crying, and I hugged her and talked to her about God. I prayed with her again, then she had a smile on her face, and went to sleep. Chapter 19. The moving the next day, I got a phone call from Nay that she wanted to come to the house to make music. 3 hours later, she came to the house, and we recorded a song. Then we practiced and practiced. After a while, I felt that she had something wrong with her, so I asked her if she wanted to go outside and talk together, and she said yes. And we went outside. She started to tell me about her life. I explained to her everything about doing things the right way. Then next week, I had a show at church, and Nay and I did the show. After the show, as I was cleaning up, these group of girls came up to me telling me they know how to sing, so the pastor and I made a deal that every Thursday the girls could come and record at the church and stuff. Every Thursday they would come and be with me to record music, and it would be nice. We would be having fun and acting crazy. Every Thursday night, when I didn't have any bus money, I would walk out with my mic and all of my music stuff to carry it home. After I got home, I would call the girls to make sure they were okay and got home safe. I would call the mother to make sure they were at the house. Then I would sit and mix my music and the girls' music to have everything right. About a week later, I was sitting down at home bored, and they was supposed to come over that day, but she never came, so I was on my phone texting one of the girls I was recording, Nyla, and she said her family was having a party and if I wanted to come. At first I said no. Then 30 minutes later, I changed my mind and I took the bus and came over. and it was my first time going to the girls' house, the victorious ladies. So after I got there, the girls came to meet me halfway because I didn't know which way to go. After we all made it to the house, I met the family and ate. Later that night, Layla asked if I wanted a sleepover. In my mind, I was like, I don't know. Then the mother said, "You can sleep over." So I slept over that night, and in the morning I went home. Then about 2 weeks later, I came over again. The mother called me upstairs to their room. We all talked, and I kind of told them about my life. Then the mother asked if I wanted to stay here in her house. I said, I don't know, you guys might change on me. They said, no, you might change on us. In my mind, I was like, nah, but I already knew ahead of time, so I didn't make a choice right then and there to come stay with them. Things with my brother at home kept getting bad, so I came and stayed with them. Everything was okay for a while, and I started to feel like my life was changing. My security job, CS Security, had called me to come to work, and every week and day I would work, go to church on Sundays, and practice and record with the girls. But after a while, things started to change. Kay, of the victorious ladies, would go against me and have an attitude every now and then when I would tell her to do something and she wouldn't want to do it. So after a while she dropped from the group, but she would find ways to push me, always. The girls' family gave me open arms, and they treated me like a real part of the family. I used to always talk to the mother about my life and take counsel from her, but little did I know, little by little I would see the changes in everybody. After a while the girls started not having faith and gave up on the group. I would call the girls to make sure they were okay and got home safe. I would call the mother to make sure they were at the house. Then I would sit and mix my music and the girls' music to have everything right. About a week later, I was sitting down at home bored, and they was supposed to come over that day, but she never came, so I was on my phone texting one of the girls I was recording, Nyla, and she said her family was having a party and if I wanted to come. At first I said no, then 30 minutes later, I changed my mind and I took the bus and came over. And it was my first time going to the girls' house, the victorious ladies. So after I got there, the girls came to meet me halfway because I didn't know which way to go. After we all made it to the house, I met the family and ate. Later that night, Layla asked if I wanted a sleepover. In my mind, I was like, I don't know. Then the mother said, you can sleep over. So I slept over that night, and in the morning I went home. Then about 2 weeks later, I came over again. The mother called me upstairs to their room. We all talked, and I kind of told them about my life. Then the mother asked if I wanted to stay here in her house. I said, I don't know, you guys might change on me. They said, no, you might change on us. In my mind, I was like, nah, but I already knew ahead of time, so I didn't make a choice right then and there to come stay with them. Things with my brother at home kept getting bad, so I came and stayed with them. Everything was okay for a while, and I started to feel like my life was changing. My security job, CS Security, had called me to come to work, and every week and day I would work, go to church on Sundays, and practice and record with the girls. But after a while, things started to change. Kay, of the victorious ladies, would go against me and have an attitude every now and then when I would tell her to do something and she wouldn't want to do it. So after a while she dropped from the group, but she would find ways to push me, always. The girls' family gave me open arms, and they treated me like a real part of the family. I used to always talk to the mother about my life and take counsel from her, but little did I know, little by little I would see the changes in everybody. After a while the girls started not having faith and gave up on the group. Sometimes I would get mad at them, and every time I did the mother acted funny with me, but I didn't pay it no mind. One Sunday, I went to church with my work clothes on because after church I had to go to work. So after church, I was tired and I didn't want to go to work. I was so tired that I was going to call off, but something hit me and I had to go. Then I left for work. After I got there, my boss placed me upstairs. It was a big show going on that day with some stars. Then I met this girl that worked for the company security. We had the same post. We were talking about music, and she was telling me a little bit about her. While we were talking, I look over, and this other guard was being nosy and told the boss on us. Then out of nowhere, the boss came over and asked me to follow him and place me somewhere else where he thought would be bad for me because of a lot gay guys were there. But little did he know where he placed me, that's where my wife was. I was standing guarding watching people, and I looked over and saw these group of cashiers and waiters, and I saw this pretty light-skinned girl that came and stood next to me at a table selling tickets and collecting money, and I turned and said to her, "Can I charge my phone next to you?" And she said, "Yes." Then after that I asked her, "Do you want a chair?" She had said, "Yes." And I gave it to her. As I stood there silently, for some strange reason I had a feeling in my chest. Then I heard a voice that said, "This is your wife." So I came back over to her and just started talking to her, saying some things about me, and she told me some things about her. We had talked half the night on an 8-hour shift. Then it was about time for me to get off of work. I wanted to stay some more and talk, but I was a bus catcher, so I didn't want to miss it. Right when I was about to leave, she gave me her number. As I was sitting on the bus, riding home, I was thinking about her nonstop. I was so happy I got to meet my wife. The next day, after I got off of church, I called her to see how she's doing, and she told me she's just relaxing, Jilin. And I laughed. Then she asked me if I want to come over. I said, "Heck yeah, how do I get to you?" Then she explained and gave me the address. I hopped on the next bus. After I made my way to her, I saw her waiting for me at the door, smiling. After I got in her house, I sat down on a chair, and she sat on the bed. And we just started talking and talking nonstop. And while we were talking about stuff, I heard the voice of God telling me to be patient with her. I didn't think nothing of it at the time. After a while, she got really comfortable with me. I sat on the bed, then she let me hold her, and she laid on my chest. Before, we were kissing, and I rubbed my hands all over her body, feeling very passionate about her. But it was time for me to go, so I kissed her, said good night, and left. The next morning my wife called me, and I asked her if she wants to come to my show. She said yes, and showed up. When it was showtime, I rapped and sang and did my thing, LOL. Showed off a little, because my future wife was there. After the show, she got to meet the Victorious ladies and their mother and also my pastor. After everything was over, she came over to my house with me, and we sat in the basement and held each other, and she would lay her head on my chest, and I would hold her tight. Then she popped a question and asked, "Do I really love her?" I said, "Yes, I do." And she cried. Then she started to tell me all the bad things she had done in her life, and all the bad things that had happened in her life. And I told her, "Baby, don't worry anymore, all that is over now, because I'm here for you and I love you." On Thanksgiving Day, she had come and spend the night with me at the Victorious lady's house. We both sat at the living room table eating and doing school work. Then out of nowhere my dad called me. And I was looking crazy because my dad never calls me, and he started talking to me about life and having babies and stuff. I told him he was crazy because I wasn't stable enough to have one. Then my dad said to me, "If I don't have one, it doesn't matter, because life is not perfect." And for some weird reason I listened to him. Later that Thanksgiving night we had sex. Then 2 months later, I was sleeping one night, and I got a call from the hospital, and she told me she was pregnant. Then I hung up the phone and went back to sleep. The next morning, I woke up and went straight to her house and asked her again because I thought I was dreaming. She said, "Yes, I'm pregnant." I was scared out of my mind, but I didn't show it to her. I held her and kissed her, then left. For a month straight, I was looking for jobs everywhere. I went home and prayed and prayed. After a while, things between me and her started to change. She was getting angry and being on my back about everything, stressing me out, but I kept my cool and kept everything the same. Make music every day and look for jobs. But she just kept being pushy, and I started getting mad because the stress was overwhelming. She would go crazy, looking at me like a waste of the earth. But I didn't care. I still kept loving her even though she was getting me mad and pushing me away. One day I went to her school and she was painting a picture, and I stayed with her and helped. Then after that, she got done with her work. I walked her home and she let me in her house, and we sat and talked, and she told me she still loved me and she wants to marry me. After I was about to leave, she handed a little paper to me and I kissed and hugged her. Then I left and went home. The next day I called her and she did not pick up the phone. In my mind, I was like, maybe she's busy, she will call back. But she didn't. Then for a whole day, I didn't hear from her. I went to her house, but she was not there. And I was looking like, what's going on? So I kept calling and calling, no pickup or call back. Then, after my 1,000 call, she finally picked up. Then she asked me with a mean voice, what do I want? And I was a little confused. Then I asked her why she didn't pick up. She said because she didn't want to, and I was like, why? What did I do? She said everything and hung up on me. Every day I would call her, and she would be acting crazy, like a whole different person, yo. Then she told me if I keep calling, she will leave me. Then I stopped for 3 days, then I called again after 3 days. One day her mother picked up the phone and said for me be stay on my side of the road, and she will stay on her side of the road. And I was like, what the heck? Who the hell is she to say anything like that? I was super mad and angry. Then I just broke down and cried because I knew I couldn't do anything about it. I was thinking in my mind, this is my first kid, and I wanted to be in his life when he was first born. Every day it would drive me crazy because I couldn't live a life without my kid. So I cried and I cried until I couldn't anymore. I tried to talk to her father, but I never got an answer or a message back from Facebook. And her mother was completely anti me. And I started asking God, what's going on? I'm not even a bad person. Why is this happening to me? Is it because I sinned? Is it because I had sex without marriage? Forgive me, Lord. And I said to God, this can't happen because I always wanted a child, and I must have my child. So I didn't call her or text her. I left her alone because she told me to leave her alone. She told me she wanted to do co-parenting. And I was like, this is crazy. I would talk to Layla, one of the victorious ladies, and she told me to just let her be. And my friend Star and everybody around me said the same thing. Every day still, I would cry because it was an overbearing feeling inside, and it just hurt a lot. I felt like dying. It was like a cut so deep. Chapter 20. My friend Star. The next day, my friend Star came over to the house to record music, and we were recording, and we had a hard time trying to focus to edit her music, and she realized my pain. We stopped recording. She gave me a hug, and she asked me, do you want to go play pool? I said, okay. So we went and played pool, and after the pool game, we went to IHOP, and she bought me food to eat, and she sat there making jokes, acting funny, and I couldn't help it but to laugh because she looked very silly. Then we went back to my house, and we were watching dancing videos on YouTube, and watched a couple of movies. Then it got too late, and I didn't want her to be out there in the dark by herself in the woods. So I asked her if she wanted to spend the night. She said, yeah. Then we stayed up talking about the situation with my baby mom. After a while we were laying there, it got silent. We laid in the bed, but far apart from each other. Then she came out to me and just held me. Without thinking twice, I kissed her and held her, then did something I wasn't supposed to do. Then the next morning, she started going crazy because she couldn't believe that just happened. I guess we got in our feelings about issues in our lives, and I guess we just wanted to make each other feel good. After a few days, we had a show to do in DC. We did the show, then got something to eat. After that, we went back to my house, and we did something we wasn't supposed to do. But this time, in the middle of the process of doing it, I heard the voice of God saying, "David, you don't want to do it again." As soon as I heard that, I jumped up and stopped, and I told her that we need to stop. She said, "Okay." Then she got up and took a shower, and we started another song. Then the next day I walked her to the bus stop, and she went home. Then I called my friend Andre and told him about everything that happened, and he couldn't do nothing but laugh. I was like, "Bruh, why you laughing at me?" He was like, "That's some crazy stuff." Then he came over to my house, and we just sat there and made music all day and every day. Then there would be some days when Star would come by, and it would just be the three of us, and we would just be doing what we loved, music. We would laugh, joke, and act crazy, and I started to heal in my heart because of all the laughter instead of sorrow. Then one night, I was sleeping and I had a dream of Star, but not exactly. In the dream, I saw a light-skinned snake wearing a red jacket. Then the snake went under the couch. Then I saw the tail of the snake, and it was poison like a rattlesnake. That same afternoon, Andre and Star came to my house, and they both was wearing red jackets, but I couldn't tell which one was a snake. But eventually I started to tell it apart, and it was Star because she started acting funny towards me and acting fake. Every time I would call her, she wouldn't pick up, and she would tell Andre things about me and act like Andre wouldn't tell me. But the friend that Andre was to me, he told me everything. He even told me how she would act at his house, and she would try to use him to get rides and stuff. He started getting mad because Star would make his older sister take long trips without paying her any gas money. So he started to disown her and stay away from her. And I didn't have to tell her to stay away from me, she already did it. So after that, it was only me and Andre. Chapter 21. The Mondrian. 2 months later, I got a job at the Mondrian, a security job. I was training with the CEO of the company, and he was showing me what to do, and later in the day, the CEO of the company, Mr. Perez, and I were talking about life because he seen the stress on my face and asked me, "What's going on?" And I told him a little bit about what's going on, and I told him a little bit about the situation going on in my life. And he told me, "Don't worry about her, because she's going to need you. Just focus on making money to provide for her when she needs you." And it kind of made me feel better. I felt a little bit uplifted. Then he told me the story about him and his ex-baby mama, and about the crazy issues that he had. He told me that she wouldn't let him see his child, or even be around his child, and at times he would go crazy. He told me that he found her one day with some guy and took a butcher knife to go and try to hurt him and her, but something came over him, and he just gave up because he said it was not worth it. He said at the end, God has the last say-so. I felt a lot better after his story. It was kind of crazy, but I felt better. Then a month on the job, one day when I was working, this pretty black girl came inside the building with a group of friends to meet someone that lived in the building. I sat there watching all of them. Then they all left with whom they came to see. 5 minutes later, the pretty black girl named Sandy came back to my desk and just started talking to me. She asked me, "How am I doing? And how was my day?" I told her it was okay so far. Then out of nowhere, she gave me her number, and she also told me that she makes music, she raps. Then I said, "Cool, I rap also. Let me hear what you got." When she was about to freestyle for me, one of her friends came up and got her to leave, and she said, "Bye, call me." I was like, "All right, I'll hit you up." I was like, dang. In my mind, that was kind of random. It's not too many girls that holla at dudes these days. 2 days later, while I was sitting at home, she called me, and we talked a little bit about DC and Southeast and the things that go on. And then she told me that she really liked me since the minute that she laid eyes on me. She said, "There is something special about you. I can't put my finger on it, but there's something special." And I was like, "So what you trying to say, you want to be that special lady?" Then she laughed. We talked on the phone until I fell asleep on her. The next day, she started to send me pictures of her, and I started having crazy thoughts in my mind. But I'd fight it. Every day we would talk. But for some reason she wanted to be with me. But I couldn't be with her, because after what my boss said to me, I had a thought in my mind that my baby mama would be back. So I held on being single, and one day out of the blue my baby mama called me and said, "Sorry." Then she said that she has nowhere to go, and I told her, "I'ma find a place." Then a week later she called me and said, "Let's meet up." And I said, "Okay." And me and my friend Andre got on the bus and head down to DC, and we met at the Subway restaurant. I saw her and her mother was mean mugging me, but I didn't care. I just cared about her and the baby. We sat down and talked then. After that I left. Then another week later, we met again at a pizza restaurant. Then we talked about everything, all the issues and all the problems. Before the end of the month, I had got a place in DC, and 2 days later, my baby mom came to live with me, and I sat on the floor with her one night and held her in my arms and told her that I love her, and from that point we was back together. We would have little ups and downs, and her mother would be interfering from time to time with her comments and plots, but at the end of the day, God had the last say so. For months later, we ended up getting married before the baby would come out. Then, September 22nd, 2015, my baby boy was born. We was so happy, especially me. The first time I seen him, he was a very beautiful baby boy. We spent 1 week in the hospital after his birth. Then I took him home. When he started getting older, every day when I wake up I would check on him and see his little smile every morning. Sometimes he would cry at night, but that was only when he was hungry or needed to be changed. He would always try to talk to me at 2 months. I had no idea what he was saying, but it was funny. Sometimes he would try so hard to talk that he would cry because the words couldn't come out. Chapter 22. Living in DC. After about 6 months of living in a room for rent in DC, there was this guy in the house named Reg, very nice at times, but had many issues. Not to be trusted, but cool at times. And Mr. Rob, the landlord that was related to Reg, Mr. Rob's wife was nice also, but felt like she had issues. Not with me, but with my wife. At times my wife would be cooking in the kitchen, and she would clean up after herself, and Mr. Rob's wife would be looking at her funny. And at times when they needed to talk to one of us, one day his wife just walked in and opened my room door without knocking or anything, evading our privacy. And I was thinking, what if my wife was naked? I guess she would have seen everything, ass and tits. But I dropped it. I told my wife not to worry. Then the Reg dude started acting up because we didn't want to do all the things that he wants to do, like smoking, drinking, playing cards, and always being in the little get-together parties. So he started to rebel against us on the low. Like, when my wife is cooking, he would be trying to flirt with her or talk like, "I am not a good guy." And in my mind, I was thinking this dude has no idea and he got issues, so I never paid him any mind because my mind is bigger than his. The only thing I would do is pray for him that God would help him to change. I even asked him one day if he wanted to read the Bible with me. He said, "Now it's okay." He said he already knew God. I said, "All right." After about 7 months of living in the house in DC, I started having pressure on me because of my job and trying to keep up with the bills and take care of my wife and baby, and me being sick from time to time. Then one day out of the blue, the landlord came knocking on my door after I just got out of the hospital, telling me we have until the end of the month to move because he's going to sell the house, and I started to panic because I didn't have anything saved at the time. but I did pray to God for help. Every day I would get up early and go look for places everywhere. I would call everyone, and I would get denied everywhere, and by everyone, and I got sick of it. They denied me because of me having a baby and not making enough for a one-bedroom apartment in D.C. and areas in Maryland. Then one day, I sat down by this place. I just got done talking to an apartment landlord that denied me, and I sat down by the road and just started bawling out with tears, crying out to God about a place to live. I had the money because my boss gave me an advance of $750 plus my paycheck, another $700, then another $1,200 from taxes, and another $1,000 from selling our tenant rights. But I didn't give up. I tried 2 more places. Then this guy in Hyattsville said he had a place available, and a place in Baltimore was still available. But the only issue for the Baltimore apartment was that we had to wait to see if we qualified because of credit and my job. And the guy that was in the Hyattsville apartment told me he was going to call me in a week. So after that, I left it up to God for whichever one he preferred for us. 2 days later, we got a call from the Baltimore apartment saying that it was available and that we qualified. We just needed the first and last month of the security deposit. Then I said, great. Then my friend Melissa called me from Florida and said that she wanted to come down and visit, and I told her that we're moving unless she wants to come down and help us. She said, okay. So I bought her a Greyhound ticket, and she came. Then the next Saturday, we ended up moving on June 3rd, 2016 to the Baltimore apartment. My good friend Pancho had a truck, and I paid him to help me move and to use his truck. After I got here to the Baltimore apartments, I signed the papers. Then I got my keys. After I walked in the apartment for the first time, I fell down to my knees and thanked God, because we would have never made it without him. Chapter 23, Small Pause. The Lord God has blessed me and my family, moving to Baltimore, to a small, nice place with our baby, with all the things that happened in my life. Without God, I would never be anything. Only God can help you through life. Even when you're sinning, you can always ask for forgiveness. Because even though we was born in sin, we're still God's children. No matter what, he is a father to us, just like every other father in the world. But God is our spiritual guidance. Everything that you want to call him. I've been through a lot of stuff in my life because of things I didn't know, disobedience at times, and sinning. But through all that mess, God still made a way because he loves us so much. No matter what the enemy throws in our way, we will always go through, because God, the Lord Jesus Christ, the Alpha and Omega, the creator of the world, always has the last say-so in everything. I'm a born-again Christian. Restless Souja, BBG Records. Holy Crown Records. Restless Souja. Copyright by David Cheriskar, 2013.